So, we need to talk about the blockbuster quarter from the aviation training giant CAE. They just dropped some seriously impressive results for their third quarter of fiscal year 2025, and we're going to deconstruct exactly what makes this financial performance a real power play.
You know, it's a really interesting question, right? We're constantly hearing about supply chain issues, industry headwinds, production delays. So how is a company right at the heart of it all not just getting by, but absolutely soaring? Well, the answer really starts with one massive, eye-popping number. That's how $1.22 billion. That's their revenue for just a single quarter. And to give you some context here, that's a 12% leap from this time last year. This is the engine behind everything, so let's dive in and see what's really going on under the hood.
To really get a handle on just how big of a deal this is, we have to look past that huge revenue figure. Because what truly makes this a record-breaking quarter is how everything else, especially the profit, stacks up right alongside it.
The story here is just fantastic. Okay, revenue's up a very healthy 12%. Their adjusted earnings per share, which is just a key way to measure profit per share of stock, that saw a really nice jump too. But the real kicker, the headline here, operating income, it more than doubled. This isn't just growth, folks. This is incredibly profitable growth.
And all that profitability leads us to maybe the most impressive part of this whole story, the sheer amount of cold, hard cash that CAE generated. You know, for any business, cash is king, and this quarter, CAE was definitely sitting on a throne.
$410 million. Let that sink in for a second. That's their free cash flow. It's an all-time record for the company, and honestly, it's a jaw-dropping figure that just screams financial health and operational efficiency. And you can see just how wild that surge was right here. I mean, we are not talking about a small little increase. They more than doubled their free cash flow from the exact same quarter last year. So that brings up a really important question. What exactly is free cash flow, and why does it matter so much?
Think of it like this. After a company pays all its bills, to keep the lights on, to maintain its equipment, which in CAE's case is their super advanced simulators, this is the cash that's just left over. It's one of the purest signals of a company's financial strength, and it gives them amazing flexibility to invest in new projects, pay down debt, or give back to shareholders.
Okay, so a ton of cash flow tells us the company is super healthy today. But what about tomorrow? What about the future? Well, that's where the order backlog comes in, and it tells a story of incredible security.
Get this, $20.3 billion. That is the size of CAE's adjusted order backlog. And just to be crystal clear, this isn't just wishful thinking or potential business. No, this is a pipeline of secured, contracted work that is locked in for years to come.
To try and wrap our heads around that staggering number, it's basically like having more than 4 years' worth of their current annual revenue already in the bag. It gives them a level of stability and a clear view into the future that, frankly, most companies can only dream about.
And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got this quarter's amazing revenue, and on the right, the backlog. It absolutely towers over it. This picture shows you that demand is just consistently outpacing what they're delivering right now, which means they have a very, very long runway for growth ahead. So we've seen the what, these incredible, mind-blowing numbers, but how did they actually do it? Well, the answer lies in the stellar performance of their two core business divisions, which were both firing like powerful growth engines.
On one side, you have civil aviation, which just had a monster quarter. They pulled in a record $1.5 billion in new orders, and that includes a massive long-term training deal with FlexJet. Then you flip to the other side, defense and security. They played it so smart. They boosted their profitability by getting rid of older, riskier contracts so they could focus on higher value work. It's a perfect story of balanced strength.
Okay, so we've gone through the big numbers, the cash, the backlog, and the two engines driving it all. But let's zoom out. Why is this one quarter so important? What's the bigger picture here?
Well, for investors, this performance is a huge confirmation that CAE knows exactly how to turn the high demand for pilots into real profit and cash. And that massive backlog, it signals a really secure future. But for the entire aviation industry, this quarter sends a powerful message. With planes getting more complex and pilot shortages being a real problem, top-tier training isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It is the absolute essential solution that keeps this whole ecosystem flying safely. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on,
With a foundation this solid and a future that's so clearly mapped out by its backlog, the real question for CAE isn't about survival, or even if it will grow. The question now is all about ambition. Where do they take all this momentum next?